Hey, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Hey, Davis. Uh, who are you? It's gonna take me a little while to learn your handles here. I'm sorry. Just gotta remind me if I say them wrong. So here, let me give that a pause. Glad you guys found it here. Good morning, Ben. All right. Yeah, David. Thanks for following along. Rocker Girl. Carter. All right, we got a crew in today. That's awesome. That's really cool. My chat window's not working. Why is my chat window not working here? That's all right. I'll get that figured out later. So, yeah, thanks for being flexible here. I know this has been a long time going in this pandemic, but we're doing what we can here to try and reduce some of the spread, keep the strain off the hospitals, because our poor nursing and doctors and all the staff there are just a little overwhelmed. So we're doing what we can. So we'll be meeting remotely. I am a fan of Twitch. I'm not really a big fan of Zoom for holding classes. Just staring at a bunch of black screens or black squares is kind of silly. And I think Twitch is a fun platform. I've gotten some good feedback throughout the pandemic. I started using Twitch before the pandemic started, believe it or not. When someone in one of my classes said, it'd be really cool if you could have your classes recorded. I said, oh, okay. And I'm a big nerd, and I watched stuff on Twitch before and kind of wanted to give it a try. And they do auto recording essentially for me. Twitch will save my streams, so our classes will be saved on Twitch for about 45 days or so. But what I'll do after every class is I'll just hit the export button, and the export button sends it over to YouTube, where it gets to stay until I take it down. So if you like attending class live and interacting, fantastic. Come on over to Twitch. We can hang out and talk. I also have a Discord server. I'll show you guys the links to that in a little bit here. And if you're interested, we can look at setting up the voice chat where I'll actually be on that so you can chat or talk to me. I think that's the one downside is I don't have the ability for you guys to say things in the middle of class. So if you're interested, we can look at using Discord for that. It will be on just a slight delay, just given the platform, but I don't think that'll be any big issues. It should be okay. Here, let me tip this down a little bit. So they also said, recommended that if we are going to do classes remotely, we should come to campus for the first time. So I am here on campus, and thankfully I think everyone got the message, which is nice. So hopefully that works out well for you folks. If this is not your learning style, I totally get that. Not everyone likes to learn remotely or in this sort of fashion. We do encourage you to look for some other sections of 1500 that might better fit for you. But I think almost all of them went to remote. I know there's one section, I think it's Thursday nights, that is not remote. We can take a look at that in a second, we can look later if you're curious. So again, yeah, hi, I'm Eric Terneski. Nice to meet you folks. Hopefully you got a chance to take a quick little peek at the syllabus. We'll spend some time going over that. I know you folks are adults who can read, but I want to pull out at least the highlights and go over a couple things that hopefully we can clarify what's going on here. And if you do have questions, please let me know. I'm happy to jump in anytime, and I'll do what I can. So this is our course. This is my college email address here. This is my cell phone. I have a phone here on campus, but I never use it, and I'm not going to be on campus at all this semester. So please don't use that one. Just use my cell phone. Call me anytime between 8 and midnight or so. Should be fine. I've got a bunch of kids, 6 currently. I teach a bunch of classes, so if I can't answer, leave me a voicemail. Let me know what time is good to get back to you. And actually, this is out of date. They needed somebody to teach another class, so Monday afternoons I'm now teaching, so I had to change up my office hours here. Let me update this. That's right. Okay, should still be the same link because it's just an update. Let's take a peek, see if that worked. All right, yeah, thanks so much for chatting in, guys. Sorry, Angel in or Angeline? SB Java 1500. All right. 1500. Fantastic. Let's see if this will load now. Oh, after you upload a Word doc, it takes a second. We'll give it a minute here. I guess I could just open it too. That might be easy instead of having to render that web view. We'll give it a shot. Maybe that'll cooperate. One of these ways will make it work. Yeah, so the plan is we'll just meet virtually here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so new office hours. So Monday after class, this is actually between my two classes, 12 to 1, between my classes, or Wednesday 12 to 5. If those times don't work for you, don't stress too much. Suggest a time, and we'll meet by appointment. If you're going to suggest times to meet, please give me like 3 different times, and I'll see if one of them fits my schedule. Because I'm teaching Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning. I'm teaching Monday, Tuesday, Thursday afternoons, and Tuesday, Thursday nights. I am happy to meet with you late or early. I'm actually usually up around 6-ish, 6:15 or so, getting my daughter ready for school because high school starts way too early, which is awful. And we know they shouldn't start so early, but we keep doing it anyway because that's the schedule, I guess. But yeah, I'm usually up pretty early, and then I'm up at least till midnight every night usually. I'm taking care of stuff. So if you'd like to meet 11 p.m. or so, generally I can make that sort of thing work. Just let me know sometimes, and we can meet using Zoom if you'd like. But I also am always on Discord. So here's the link for my Discord server. So if you take a look, you can head over to my Discord server. I got a bunch of different ones here. I've got a channel specific for each class. So this is a great place if you have questions about something that's happening in the class, just like general questions, post them here. And just like if we're meeting in real life in person, everyone else will hear it. Everyone else will get a chance to read it, and then I can answer it, and we'll see, what's going on here. So again, with Twitch and Discord, they are public platforms. So use any handle you want. I don't, Whatever you want to call yourself is perfectly fine with me. It's all good that way. So you all found the location here, and then again, here's my YouTube channel link. I'll post all those out. So I usually keep the most recent class archives. I don't want to keep like 3 different copies of every class I've taught. So I'll be taking down the summer ones that were up there, but I should still have the fall 1500 course all exported out. We did meet in person, but I still did this Twitch thing to do asynchronous. That should be fine. Yeah, SP Java. Yeah, so I had previous office hours. The correct ones here are Monday 12 to 1, Wednesday 12 to 5. Those are the correct ones here. So that should be the correct one. I just updated it just a little bit ago because I got the Monday afternoon class assigned on Friday. So that sort of threw off a little bit of my plans, but that's okay. We'll make it work here. Yep, so just I'll be around at my computer. Shoot me a message. You can reserve a time if you'd like. One of those slots, usually 15 to 30 minutes or so, I'll reserve for people. Block that off in my calendar, make sure we can meet. Other than that, feel free to just shoot me messages. Really anytime, but like I'll be at my desk these times, so you can expect a quick response. If you just like talking tech, I love chatting about technology. That's one of the things I do miss about meeting remotely. We don't really just have time to sit around and just talk about fun technology stuff in the news. Always all sorts of interesting things going on when it comes to technology. So that is one of the cool things about being in this field. Or appointments, yep. So find the Discord server. It's fantastic. If you prefer Zoom, I'm fine to do Zoom too. It's not opposed to it at all, but it's like takes me 3 more clicks to launch Zoom, where Discord's just like always open on my computer because I use Discord for all sorts of things, as you could see from my list of servers. You can check out the YouTube channel. I'll have all the classes there. I think, yeah, I need to do a little bit of maintenance on this, clean that up. So I've got new current classes. I usually try and put them in a playlist just to make life easy, and we can go from there. In terms of the catalog course description, hopefully you saw this when you registered or looked at the class. This is just a copy paste out of that. Shows up in the syllabus. So we get into all of these topics. It's fantastic. There are no prerequisites for 1500. We do assume, though, that you have some basic algebra skills and familiar with Windows file management techniques. Techniques is a funny word here, but knowing how to find files on your computer, which is huge. So we'll spend a little bit of time talking about that. If you've never found a file before, it might be a little bit funky for you, but I'm sure you can catch on. You folks are pretty good, this sort of thing. And it doesn't actually need to be a Windows computer. Our virtual desktops here, or the campus computers here, are all Windows computers. I use a Windows computer, but you can run all of these same tools on Mac and Linux if you are so inclined. Personally, I'm not a Mac person. I don't have one. I don't use Macs, but I can usually get you pointed in the right direction to get things up and running if you're on Mac. But all of the other things we use are Windows. And for this class, it won't matter. Java is a fantastic programming language that works on all sorts of different operating systems. So you should be fine, even though it says Windows there. But again, you'll need to know files. Some outcomes. This is the sort of thing we measure of our classes to make sure everyone in every class, regardless of who teaches it, is able to achieve these outcomes here. Programming is big in critical thinking. Lots of people think programming is this very technical science, and while that's mostly true, there's a lot of art when it comes to programming. There's a lot of design. There's a lot of this critical thinking where we have to think about the problem we're trying to solve and use the tools and techniques we've learned to solve it. So like understand the relationships between ideas, use information to develop our conclusions and solutions, apply the knowledge to our task, and not only apply it, but accomplish the task. Right? If your computer program doesn't do what it was supposed to do, you've not accomplished your task. And then specific outcomes, like throughout the semester, I will map each one of these to a different assignment, essentially. I think one of them shows up in the midterm. So we have to run numbers on these all the time. It's a whole thing. But these are different things we will get into and will be assessed across any section of 1500. So you can take a look at those later if you're curious. Our textbook is Murrock's Java Programming, the 5th edition. There is now a 6th edition. We didn't get the info about it in time to switch over. I've heard it's better. I don't have a copy of it yet. I've been meaning to get that e-copy, but again, things were a little crazy. Like they released it like mid-December, right in the middle of finals week and holiday break and stuff. So we're using the 5th edition. It's a decent book. It's not as heavy as some other textbooks, and it's a little cheaper, which is nice. So that's our main reference here. I got the ISBN. I think these are correct for the physical copy and the digital copy. Whatever you prefer is perfectly fine. You can get it from our bookstore here, link, or your favorite online bookstore, anywhere you want. You can get a used one. You can rent it, anything you want to do. You'll definitely want the textbook to go through and read, right? I'm going to try and pull out highlights here. I'm not a fan of PowerPoint, as you're going to find out, because I don't like when people read to me, which I'm sort of reading to you now and I feel a little bit bad about, but I'm pulling out the highlights. So I don't use PowerPoint. So I've got all of the book PowerPoints out here in D2L. You can look at them yourself, sort of like the Cliff Notes versions here of the chapters. But you're going to want to do the reading because we have quizzes on every chapter. And that's your main reference. So I'm going to give you examples, hopefully, that are not identical to the book. So you'll see me do it once, you can read it a second time, and you can try it a third time. And by then, hopefully, some of these things will be kicking in. All right, and then my favorite part of the syllabus, all of these supplemental materials, all these other tools we're going to use. We're going to make use of GitHub, which is actually owned by Microsoft. They're a hosting provider of the Git source control tool. So they're a cloud service that lets us use Git, which is used for maintaining source code and collaboration in source code. This is used very widely in the industry, one of the most popular hosting services in the industry. They've got some competitors for sure, but this one's very popular. And what this lets us do is use a tool that's made to deal with code instead of attaching things to Desire to Learn, which is awful. Desire to Learn is not made for looking at code. And it gives me no good review options and all sorts of that stuff. So we're going to create a free account. Please don't pay for anything. Totally free account on github.com. And then we're going to use the GitHub desktop client. You can go download that. On the college virtual machines, unfortunately, you have to download it every time because it like wipes all the stuff that you have. But I'll walk you all through that. Don't worry too much about it. It's a quick download, so just keep the link handy. We'll be good to go there. Again, the Discord link for office hours. GitHub is public, Discord is public, Twitch are public, so whatever username and handle you want, perfectly fine. The way that I figure out who you are is that you will submit a link, a URL, to your GitHub code in GitHub, to me in Desire to Learn. Desire to Learn has your real names. So GitHub, Discord, Twitch, they don't need any of your real names. The only place that needs it is Desire to Learn, where you have a unique login. So we should be fine there. I think you've all figured out the web browser by now. Unless you're on mobile, which is generally not going to go well, because it's kind of hard to see the things I type on mobile. So definitely recommend a full computer for this sort of thing. And it's really hard to code on mobile, too. Really hard to do that. So we're going to use the NetBeans IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So all the code we write in Java is going to be done in NetBeans, which is fantastic. So there's a link here for NetBeans. And we want the latest version. So this like 12.6 is the latest version. Came out just 2 months ago, looks like. You go to download. And depending on which system you're on, right, on Windows, on Linux, or Mac, you can pick the correct one. So don't worry about the binaries one. The installer is generally a little easier to use here. We use this installer here. We can go and download NetBeans and get us up and running. Let's take us back to our syllabus here. And then I forgot to open that one in the new tab. All right, and go down some pages. Back to where we were. Oh, too far. So that's NetBeans, the Openjdk. So Java had this interesting history here where they used to be their own organization and wrote their own code and released it. It was all free and open source, that sort of thing. And then Oracle bought them. And Oracle decided, hey, if you're using this commercially, you should pay us for a license. And that just sort of kind of went against the theme of Java being a free open source tool. But because it still was open source, other people could manage Java and run an Openjdk. So JDK is for Java Development Kit. So you can be developing code in Java, writing code in Java, programming in Java. You need the development kit. So there's a link to the JDK. There we go. If I control click, it'll open in a new tab. There we go. Hey, Hector, thank you so much for donating those bits. That is amazing, my friend. And I think I forgot to mention, although it's listed out here on my channel, I don't know if you saw it there, all of the proceeds from Twitch end up getting donated over at the Student Scholarship Fund at the college, or the University of Michigan Dearborn College of Engineering and Computer Science, where I'm both a student and a lecturer there as well. So please don't think I'm trying to double dip here on Twitch, and like I'm going to get all sorts of ad money and money from bits and subs and stuff, but that all goes over to the scholarship fund there. I've got a log of it, all the donations and payouts I've gotten. I've gotten one check from Twitch so far, but happy to donate that over to the scholarship fund, which is awesome. And we do have our own scholarship funds here at OCC as well. Hopefully you've had a chance to check out some of those. It's not just that federal grant money that they keep reminding us about. So we're going to use the Openjdk. So the Openjdk, we're currently on 17 right now, and this is just a zip file. So you find the Windows zip file here. It's going to download a zip file, and then we're going to extract that file into a location that we know where it lives. And we'll go through all that in just a little bit. Let me get through the syllabus first, and we'll go back to our tools here and go through all of that. Later in the semester, when we get into our graphical user interface programming, we're going to use the OpenJFX and Scene Builder. We don't need to worry about those right now. If you want to, go for it, but we're not going to touch them until the back third of the semester. The other option for you, if you don't want to install all of these on your personal computer, is you can use the virtual desktop that OCC has. So you can follow this link. It is the Horizon VMware client you can install. Pick the right one for your operating system, and that then will let you connect to the college computers here that have everything pre-installed on it, which is nice. So again, the downside with the virtual desktops is nothing saves. So we need to make sure we're getting into good habit. And I'll show you how we can use Git and GitHub to make sure we don't lose any of our code. As the idea here is we put it out into the GitHub, the cloud that GitHub hosts for us, and then we can't lose our stuff because it's out in the cloud. And we'll go over all of that. So I know it's a lot going through. It's okay. Kind of blitzing through this. All right. Specific course policies, assessment policies and procedures. I do take plagiarism and cheating very seriously. This is a very big pet peeve of mine. Engaging in academic dishonesty will result in a failing grade in the course and being reported to the dean's office. So our dean's office tracks this sort of thing college-wide. I believe we still have the 3-strike policy. After 3 occurrences, you'll no longer be welcome to be a student here at OCC. So we do take this seriously. This is academia, and academic dishonesty is not tolerated. What that means is things like plagiarism. This is essentially the biggest one that I get here in programming classes, is presenting someone else's ideas without giving credit to the originator. That's academic dishonesty. Other things that happen too, right? Getting copies of tests, working together when you're not supposed to work together, those sort of things. Students who aid and abet. So if you're helping someone else, they said, hey, can I just see your project real quick? I just want to see how you did it. That's a big no-no, okay? Now, I'm not dumb. I know there is a website called Stack Overflow that has all sorts of code out on it. My goal when I write assignments for you folks is to give you generally pretty unique assignments that you can't go Google and answer for and copy-paste. If there's one particular small thing here, like, oh, hey, you have to go find a prime number and then do something with it and yada, yada, yada. If you go Google how you find a prime number in Java and take one small snippet, that's perfectly fine. And I'll show you how you can cite your source so it's not plagiarism. Plagiarism is without giving credit to the originator. So if you can cite your source, fine. That's no problem for small pieces here. I do have a problem with Chegg.com or any other sites like that where you post your assignment and pay someone to give you an answer. Okay, that is not cool. Apparently this was not clear to people before, and someone said, oh, hey, I cited my source, here's the Chegg.com answer for it, and they just copy-pasted the entire thing. Turns out they also posted it, which made me very upset. And they claimed, oh, well, look, the answer was available online. Yeah, because you asked for it. You paid for it. Like, that's not cool. So I do my best to make sure you can't Google complete answers for things here. But if you find, oh, here's one little snippet, or here's how I can find, hey, is there a, the letter E inside of a word if we're playing Hangman or something silly like that. I'm fine with that, and I'll show you how to cite sources. So if you are not sure if something qualifies, please ask me. Okay? If you're not sure, ask. Just shoot me a message. No big deal here. Happy to look at it, tell you what I think, give you the thumbs up, and we're all good here. Okay? Again, entire solutions, no. Small snippets, fine. I'm perfectly fine with citing those. And if you're not sure, just ask me. Right? It's not too big of a deal here. I had someone super upset with me because they copy-pasted an entire project and they failed the class. And like, you know the policy, and you're actually going to agree to the policy when you take the syllabus quiz that we'll talk about here, which is a nice little CYA for myself, because I have to take all sorts of paperwork. I have to fill out a form. I have to get everything out there, find the other internet source, turn it all into my dean. It's a big pain in the butt to have to fail people for cheating, and I don't like to do it, and it upsets me. And then I get all grumpy, and then my wife is upset because I'm all upset. It's just bad. Now, I'm not perfect, and I might miss it, but the chances of me missing it are not chances you want to take. So far, since I've been teaching back to 2012, I don't think I've had a semester yet where I've not had to fail someone for cheating, which is really depressing, as I spend way too much time talking about this, and most people are perfectly fine about it, and they understand, and they know they have to do their own work. But at one point I had to fail 8 people on the final exam because they copy-pasted an answer and they did not cite their sources, because I apparently did a bad job Googling for that question initially. So one person actually did cite their source, and I said, okay, that's my bad. You cited your source, you have the points. The other 8 people did not, and that was really depressing to have to fail people on the final exam like that. So again, if you're not sure, ask. But generally, a small snippet is fine. If you're citing your source, an entire solution is not cool. Okay, so enough about that. The college policy, this is pulled right out of the handbook that you all agree to and have presented with. But if you're not sure, just ask me. Happy to talk to you about it. I know I come off like a big jerk, but again, this is sort of in your best interest as well. If folks can get through college and get a degree and they've cheated their way through, when they get hired by an organization, they're going to suck and not actually know how to do the things that they were hired to do. And then that organization is going to think OCC does a terrible job educating people and will not want to hire other people who got a degree from OCC. So cheaters really devalue the degree for everyone else. So it's in your own best interest to not have cheaters pass as well. Okay, so don't help people, right? Don't give them your projects and let them copy off them. Okay, the code of handbook, this was just a copy paste. Make sure you keep your classroom corridors quiet. Sure. Sorry, that's in there. So our grading policy, this is what most people seem to care the most about. Now, I use a weighted system, and that can be a little bit funky here, but what that means is for each one of these categories here, the total number of points in that category, well, whatever your score is on it, makes up this percentage of your overall final score. So we're going to do labs every week, just a small little practice, like, hey, here's the thing we talked about, write a small little thing that does that thing. Small little project, or not project, just a small assignment. Every week we'll have a new lab that'll work out to be 10% of your overall final score. The goal with the labs is that these are free points, right? You get points just for doing the thing we've done this week. They're not really hard to figure out. They're just, hey, here's some practice. Can I do it myself? Projects are the hard ones that you have to go and make your own solutions to. So I gave you a problem to solve. You have to apply the things that we've talked about in class to go solve those problems. That makes up 30% of your overall score in the class. We'll have quizzes every chapter as well. Again, this is sort of your incentive to read the book. Make sure you're staying current with the material. That makes up 10% of your overall score as well. We'll have a single exam in the class, just one midterm. That's all we're going to have. It's open book, open notes, open internet, so don't stress too much about it. It's not like one of those slow or fast, high stakes timed exams. It's worth a decent amount, but only 10% of your overall score. So even if you don't do super well on it, most people can easily get 70, 80%, no problem. Missing just a little bit there is not going to be a big hit in the overall grade. So it's meant to be a lower stakes exam, much more of like a checkpoint for you. That if you did well on this, good. If you didn't do so well, it's time to really take a look and reevaluate what's happening in the class and why that's not going so well for you, if you want to make it to the end. And then the final project makes up the largest portion of your score. That makes up 40% of your overall score here. So we'll have the last month of class to do this final project. I know we're in the midst of a global pandemic and we're meeting remotely, but if you want to work in pairs with somebody, I'm totally open to that. Usually I require it, but again, pandemic and things. So individual or in pairs, we can work on this final project to make up 40% of your overall score. We'll get to this at the end of the semester. We make a little game. It's not a very interesting game, but it's a little game we can play with. The idea with this one is if you don't do the final project, you don't pass the class. Right, because that makes up 40%. You can't get anything above a 60% without the final project. Okay, so you'd have to do this one if you're going to pass the class. But what that means is the labs are take home, the projects are take home, the quizzes are take home. The midterms and exams, sure, so we won't count that one. But so that 90% of your score is all stuff you essentially have not quite unlimited time to do, but you'll have at least a week to get all of these things done. So the labs, they'll be due the end of the next week. Projects, you'll always have 2 weeks to work on. The quizzes, they're open all week long. Once we finish the chapter, you'll have until the next week to get that quiz in. So the only thing that's a little bit trickier there is the midterm, but again, for the midterm, it's going to be open all week like a chapter quiz, because I don't think a timed exam that says, hey, can you do this in some fixed amount of time is a good way of measuring if you actually know what you're doing. So, and we'll get more to the midterm. I will talk more about it. I'll give you last semester's midterm because I rewrite them. Yeah, I can take a look at it anytime, Angel. So that's the beauty of using GitHub, is the code will always be out in the cloud, and you can just shoot me your link anytime you want and say, hey, can you take a look at this something for me? I'm happy to look at it. Yep. And then when it comes to projects, so labs, I'm not going to use rubrics. They're just do this thing, and you get the points. For all the projects and the final projects, I build a rubric here in D2L that says, okay, if it did A, you get 2 points. If it does B, you get 2 points. If it does C, you get 4 points. If it does D, you get 3 points, or whatever, however we work those out to be. And I use those rubrics for grading. So they're always generally like goal task based. Is it accomplishing this? Is it accomplishing this? A few times we get into some design. You built it a certain way using a certain technique, that sort of thing. But for all the projects, we'll have a rubric posted, and I can go over it with you folks in class. So generally, it's pretty clear on what I'm looking for. Now, I've gotten some feedback and been told a little bit that generally when I assign projects, they come off as a little bit vague, and that is intentional. The idea is that I'm not telling you how to solve problems most of the time. I'm telling you, here's a problem to solve, you figure it out. And that's how it works in the real world. And different organizations have different levels of, the ways that they build their solutions, and they assign people to teams, and occasionally you'll work on a team where someone has done all of the design work for you, and they built everything out, and they said, please just write this that does ABC. Right? And it's very clear and detailed because they have these very well-defined architect roles and senior developer roles and junior developer roles and that sort of thing. But, in the real world, there's a problem to solve, and it's up to us as the developers to go solve that problem in whatever way we see fit. So that's the real art to programming, and that's what I love about it here. It's very creative. It's not just a hard science. I mean, there's definitely science things to it. There are right ways to solve problems, and there are I would say wrong ways to solve problems. But as long as the problem is getting solved, that's what we're looking at now. It's your first programming class. Later on, when you take more programming classes, you'll get into how do we evaluate solutions to see if they're fast or they're slow or those sorts of things, and talk more about trade-offs. So we'll get into all that later on in your career. Okay. For the letter grade, this should be a standard scale out of the catalog. So 94% or higher gets you an A. I do round, so I know it says 93.9. I don't actually, like if you're at 93.9.8, so I'll round from 93.5 and up, I'll round. So I know it says that, but I fudge it just a little bit here because that feels a little bit mean to be like, oh, you're 0.5% away. So we'll round those. So if there's a particular letter grade you're looking for a particular GPA, you know what you've got to hit. In terms of an end grade, if you don't turn anything in the first 3 weeks, you get an end grade. It has implications, all sorts of things around financial aid and other things I don't exactly know. But if you turn stuff in, you won't get it, which is fine. So, and I'll check with anybody before I submit one, so don't worry too much about it. In terms of late work, I don't take late work unless you have some prior written approval or, again, some extreme extenuating circumstance. If you ended up in the hospital or something, or your family ends up in the hospital and you couldn't tell me beforehand, I'll work with you. Not too big of a deal there for those circumstances, but generally I don't take anything late. And the reason is when we have projects that are due, I'm going over a solution to the project in class. So projects will be due before class starts at 10 a.m. And then that day at 10 a.m. I go over the answer to the project. I'll go over answers to labs. I haven't gone over answers to quizzes as often. It doesn't seem like super useful class time for us because you can just go see the answers yourself. So going over them is not, and I've gone back and forth on this, but I've landed mostly on using the textbook question banks here. So there's a bunch of questions to pull from, so I don't even get the same 10. It's just 10 questions. And they're not too bad here. Again, the idea with the quizzes is it's your incentive to be reading the book. So you don't need to memorize anything. They're all open book, open notes, open internet. But you want to know where to go find it in the textbook is the idea. So, oh, hey, it's a question about this. Let me go look in that section to find the right answer. So it encourages you to get back into the textbook because, again, you want to listen to me, watch me do it. You want to read about it, and then you want to do it yourself. So you've got those 3 different times where you're helping this idea and these things get reinforced in your head. Because if all you ever do is listen to me, you're not going to get it. Right? You need to do more than that. So the textbook is our main reference. So I'm going to give you highlights. I'll give you other examples. You go back to the textbook, and then you practice it yourself. Okay. Other things, FERPA, ADA. So if you need any sort of accommodations, please work with the Access Office. I need paperwork on file before I can give you any sort of accommodations. Given that we are remote and I have recordings and none of the tests are time-bound, I don't think any of the common ones apply, but please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. The typical ones I usually see are people need some additional time or like a distraction-free test environment to make sure they can focus on tests or that sort of thing. So none of them are time-bound, so I have not done the time and a half on tests that give you an entire week because you've got the entire week already. And I've not had anyone complain about that not being fair or anything. So same with the midterm, right? It'll start at the beginning of the week. It'll end before the next class starts. So you'll have the whole week to work on that midterm as well. So if you do have concerns, let me know. And then one of the coolest things I think about OCC and us being a community college is we have an entire department here, the Academic Support Center, dedicated to student success, which is fantastic. So their website, you can check that out. They have all sorts of cool study skills classes. So if you're new to college, please check them out. They have all sorts of good things to help you be successful. Where is it here? My goodness. Their seminars, study skills seminars, these are huge for being prepared. And the other amazing thing they do is they offer free is the wrong word, they offer no additional charge tutoring. Right? It's paid for through your tuition and tax dollars. So free is the wrong word here, but no additional charge tutoring here. Let's take a peek. I think they got this updated for winter. Let's see if they did or not. Nope, this is the fall schedule. So in the fall, so again, this is not correct here. You can schedule individual times here with Miss Rika or Mr. Tim, virtual, on campus, depending, for given classes. Miss Rika tutors for 1,500. Mr. Tim tutors for all of CIS. So these are individual, no additional charge tutoring appointments you can schedule. And the other awesome thing is they have supplemental instruction or essentially group tutor sessions, which that is, I don't think they'll have our schedule here, but we actually have Mr. Tim, who does individual tutoring, dedicated to hanging out in our class. He's been a group tutor for me before. Is he on the list? This is still fall. Yep. So he would hold sessions on Zoom, group tutoring sessions that you folks can join and go over some of the topics again. He has some additional practice. He can clarify anything for you. So he does twice a week. I don't actually have the times for him yet. I got to check with him and see. Things were a little crazy getting things started up here. But I'll get the schedule from Mr. Tim, and you can meet with him for group tutoring sessions, and it's no additional charge. So the Academic Sports Center has actually gone through and done all sorts of evaluations and looking at this sort of thing, and they have statistically shown that students who attend tutoring or SI sessions or group tutor sessions perform better in the class. And I think that just generally just makes a lot of sense if you think about it. If you're spending more time on your subject, you're likely to be more successful. And they're able to show, based on all the surveys and things that they've done looking at student outcomes and grades, that students who attend these sessions do get a better grade in the course. So take advantage of that. If you can't make the group tutor times, check out those individual tutor times. If you can't make those and you really want to, check out my office hours. I'm happy to chat with you as well, because I do offer an additional point. So I'll do one bonus point per quiz if you've been to the group tutor session or individual tutoring for that week. So Mr. Tim tracks all that for me for his group tutor sessions. I get a spreadsheet from him all the time we fill out every week. The individual tutoring, just let Ms. Rika or Mr. Tim know to shoot me a message. I think they're both coming back this semester for tutoring. I'll double check that. Hopefully their website's updated soon. You can get that bonus point as well if you attend one of those. Again, the group sessions are fantastic. Talking through your code, talking about big ideas here is awesome. As you'll see, like we've had some chats in Discord about, hey, for this particular thing, do you think this might be a good approach? And it's talking like a design level. I'm perfectly fine with that. You folks are welcome to talk to each other about projects, about assignments, about labs. As for the labs, you're welcome to work with a partner on the labs. The labs are really there for you just to get some practice. And hey, this is what we talked about. Can I do that myself? Not really in a, am I solving an interesting problem, but can I make the code run sort of way here. Mr. Tim hosts the group tutoring sessions, so he's in D2L as well. He'll shoot out an email a little bit later today to everybody to give you his contact information. I don't publish his because I haven't gotten his permission for that. So I publish my contact information out here publicly on Twitch and YouTube, but I try not to do that for other people if I can help it. So we'll have that information in shortly, and we'll make sure everyone gets a message in D2L or your email for when those times are going to be. So if you want to get together and just chat about ideas, that's fantastic. My general rule of thumb for that is when you're talking about ideas, not a problem. When you start having to take notes, you're probably working too closely with someone else, right? If okay, you're giving me some ideas and I'm writing all those things down, we've probably gone too far, right? But if, okay, here's some ideas, we're just chatting back and forth, it's not a problem. I don't know who that phone is. I can't tell anymore because no one has the same extensions. Give me just 1 second. I don't know if this might be someone in class not figuring this out. So give me 1 moment, please. Okay, that was not a student. Sorry about that. Just want to make sure. Some people can, it can be hard with this remote thing. So make sure everyone gets on. Anyway, so the tutoring session's great. The discussion, fantastic. Again, don't take notes. You're welcome to work together on labs. By working together does not mean, hey, you do this week's lab, send me your code, we both turn in the same code. Working together means like you actually work together and collaborate on it. Okay? Oh, thank you so much for using that emote. I love that. That coffee emote's one of my favorites. Usually I have my mug, so I'll have it at home, which is nice because I can't drink on campus with the mask on. My home office, I can drink my coffee because I am quite the coffee addict, which is, it's nice. It's the one socially acceptable drug that, people seem to perfectly think is normal to have an addiction to, because caffeine is addicting. But, we get it in our coffee or our tea, or, they add caffeine to everything, to all of the pops that we drink. And no one seems to bat an eye at it. So definitely I'll take advantage of that. Back to that, I was using Twitch before the pandemic. I had gotten a review. I used to teach a lot of night classes before I started doing this more full-time. And in night classes, they're long, right? And it's the end of the day, and you're tired. So I would bring coffee. I had a thermal growler, and you can put beer in it. That's the growler size for beer, but it fit an entire pot of coffee. And I would bring that entire thermal growler to class, and I'd pour myself coffee. I would share if anyone wanted it too, but most of the time I drink that like an entire pot of coffee just in class, in this night class. And in the review, I kid you not, someone said, and I quote, "Eric is like a squirrel with an adrenaline shot," end quote. So I've been told I'm a little fast, and maybe some of that has to do with the caffeine and the coffee, but generally I'm just a very hyper kind of person. That's my energy level. So I think having this stuff recorded is fantastic. You can go back, review it anytime you want, and hopefully that's helpful. So we'll see how well that goes. And again, I know not everyone's learning style is let's sit here and watch a screen. So if you'd like to attend asynchronously, it's not a problem at all. Just take a look at the videos on YouTube. I'll post links to them in D2L as well. I've got a whole section called the Lecture Archive. I date them all, try and give you the little topic there, and you can just follow along that way if that's more your style. Whatever's going to work best for you. If you want to join on chat, fantastic. If you want to hop on Discord, I do have that lecture voice chat channel. Just let me know if you plan on using it here for the lecture voice chat, and I'll pop in there. I might have to get headphones. I've not had anyone use it yet in 2 years now. We're going on 2 years now of this, because in 2020 winter we broke and ended up being full remote from 2020 winter. So, but if you're interested, let me know. We can try and make that work. So it will have your voice publicly out there, but again, as long as you don't like say your name out loud, it's just a voice, and I don't think people have major concerns about that. But if you do, let me know. I can be flexible, or we can always meet privately during my office hours or something. So anyway, the Academic Support Center, check them out. They are fantastic. They're focused on student success. The study skills seminars are fantastic as well, especially if you're new to college. I had someone last semester, was their first semester out of college. Their senior year in high school was the remote pandemic year. So kind of a rough start, and they honestly, had a hard time of it. And they told me at the end, hey, I wish I would have done things a little bit differently. So I have asked people to give me a little bit of feedback and like, hey, what advice do you have for the next semester? To kind of keep that as a little thing. I didn't get as much as I was hoping for, but everyone says projects will take you longer than you expect. Start early. So because you have 2 weeks for projects, what I found most people wait until like the day or 2 days before it's due before they start. And that's a big mistake. You have 2 weeks to do the projects for a reason, so you can get started on them. And if you get stuck somewhere, you have time to reach out and get some help. Okay. Projects are not designed to be, hey, let's do exactly what Eric did in class, but with different names. That's not the goal of projects, right? That doesn't really show that you learned anything. That's your lab practice. We're just repeating what we did, but doing it ourselves. Projects are actual problems you need to solve, given the tools you've learned. And you can solve all of them given the tools you've learned, but it's going to take a little bit. So that's the catch there. I try really hard to help you if you get stuck, but given I've got six classes this semester and projects due all throughout the time, there's only so much time I can give the day before it's due to get things up and running. So please don't wait until Sunday night and say you're stuck on something with the project due Monday morning. So that will not go well for you. I do meet with people in the evenings over the weekend if I can help it. I try not to during the day because I'm doing stuff with my family. But after the kids are in bed, I'm frequently meeting with people Saturday night, Sunday night. And I'm happy to do it most of the time, but please don't wait until the day before it's due and tell me you don't know what to do with the project. Right? We have 2 weeks for a reason. So for D2L technical support, anything wrong with the website itself, technically, call them. Anything wrong with the content is all me. That should be fine. Accessibility information, if you want that. Other technical skills, no problem there. The technology appropriate use regulations. So if you're going to be using D2L, which we are for the course, and if you're going to be using the virtual machines, which are optional, don't do anything stupid or illegal on them. You agree to it when you log in, but no one actually reads this here. But essentially, if you do bad things on them, you would lose access to college resources, and it's really hard to complete a college class that uses the resources if you can't use those resources. Some netiquette sort of tips here. Please don't send me messages in all caps. That's the online equivalent of yelling. So no all caps, please. I'm very informal. I don't need like fancy greetings, good afternoon, good sir, sort of titles here, or intros, that sort of thing. Informal, I'm fine with, but just again, it's a good idea to practice some professional habits here, but I'm not going to care if you don't. For public safety, again, we're online, so it shouldn't be any issues here. Physical public safety. But if you are experiencing any sort of online harassment, please let me know. I'll do what I can to help, and we'll have to engage the public safety if we need to. As for me, generally my goal is to have things graded within a week of when they're due. I'm pretty good about that for the first bit of the semester, and then as things start to come in from every single class, sometimes I get behind. I'll let you know. I was better about it last semester, not perfect, but we'll get there. Try to get things back to you when I can. But this is of the due date, not when you turn it in, just FYI. So if you turn it in early, doesn't mean you're going to get it back early. Okay? Usually I wait till everyone's projects are in. I can look at all the projects all at once, kind of back to back to back to back, and look for common, did this sort of thing get missed by a lot of people? Maybe that's part of my problem. Maybe I shouldn't do that. But for email response or text messages or finding me on Discord, easily within 24 hours. Usually I'm much faster at responding. If you have not heard back from me, please reach out again. It's possible I just lost it in the pile of things. Every so often my son uses my phone to watch YouTube videos and things, and he likes to dismiss all my notifications. So just shoot me another message, email, call, text, Discord, any way you want. It's not hounding me, so if I haven't got back to you in time, please reach out again. I'm happy to help with that. All right, and then our schedule here. Hooray! So we meet Mondays and Wednesdays. So today's our course introduction. On Wednesday, we're going to do our introduction to Java. So we should be able to get to all the tools today, and then we'll actually dive into chapter 1 on Monday. It's a pretty quick chapter here. Not going to take too long. We don't have class next Monday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Go out and do something for your community, do some service. I encourage you to do that with your time. It's fantastic. And then essentially we take an entire week per chapter. So chapter 2 is the Wednesday and the Monday, right? Chapter 3 is the Wednesday and the Monday. Chapter 4, Wednesday and Monday. Chapter 5, Wednesday and Monday. That sort of thing. We don't spend a lot of time on 7. I think we might need to spend a little more time on 7. I might have to rework this a little bit. I'll look and see. Because the midterm, I give you the entire week because I have a Tuesday night section of 1500. So their time is set to 4 hours, and usually, if we were doing like an in-person exam, they'd have all 4 hours, and it's not fair to make you guys do it in 2 hours because I want it to be like the same assessment. So that entire week we're off, Monday and Wednesday for the midterm, and then we get that done and out of the way before midwinter break. Then we hit midwinter break. We're off for another week. So once you get that midterm done, you'll be all set, and we'll come back. So we've got a project every 2 weeks. So project 1 is due. We got project 2. It'll be due before the midterm. No project midterm week or over break. Fantastic. We pick up project 3. We come back for project 4. And we get our final project in April, and it's due in May. So this week, we don't actually cover much of chapter 12, just this array list portion of chapter 12. That's about the only time we'll try and double up here. Spend time. So we don't go super deep on chapter 8. So I think we'll finish up chapter 7 and then get into 8 this week. Because this topic of inheritance is something, if you do continue on in our track and take object-oriented programming in Java, CIS 2151, you'll do a deep dive into inheritance in that class. So we need to talk about it so that we can do this Java FX stuff. It's like a core concept, and we make use of it here. Yeah, no Twitch streams during midterm week. Just you've got that entire time. Essentially, so the midterm is going to be half quiz-style questions and half programming questions. So essentially, I use the same test banks, but you might get different ones out for the quizzes here. And then half, hey, write a small bit of code that does this. Write a small bit of code that does this. Write a small bit of code that does this. It's made to not be big. It's not as big as a project, but it's because you only have the week to do it. I try and keep it short and sweet. And again, it was designed so that you could get it done in that 4-hour block. But Again, I don't think timed exams are a good way of measuring if people can get things done or not. So I said, forget the time limit, just have all week for it. So I'll open up 221. Be due by 228, so you're done and out of the way, so you can actually have a break, hopefully. We'll be good there. We'll do file IO, pick up another project, exceptions, and then once we get to Java FX, I've got some supplemental things here that, I forgot to align that better. That looks really ugly, sorry. Let me fix that right now, because that's going to bother me. We'll look at, so the book gets one chapter, and I want to give you additional information and things about it here, and then we've got time set aside just to work on that final project here. Again, it was kind of designed if we're in class, you could work with your partner on it. That work out better? Okay, I think that fixed it better. So this should be center aligned now. Make that a little prettier. Make those center aligned. What do you think? Center align. There we go. That's prettier looking. Okay, let me put out that pretty version, because that makes me a lot happier. Okay, and it all fits. So that's the plan for the semester. So by the time we hit early April, and really this week, we're done with all of the content I want to go over. And you've got, well, we might have a little bit more for the second or third week in April here. Any extra time there's spent for the final project work time. I have no lectures planned for the 25th and 27th, set aside for the final project work time. And then on May 2nd, you folks get a chance to present your project. So we'll get together on Zoom, a little private Zoom session, and everyone will present their game and play it in front of everyone else, which is really fun because when it comes to graphical user interfaces and working with this Java FX stuff, everyone does it a little bit differently. And that's really fun to see how other people approach problems like that. All right, let's see, can I update that so it doesn't look so ugly? Let's see. There we go. Nope, it didn't actually go. No, not. Sometimes it's dumb. Copy. There it goes. Okay, now it updated it. So now it should look a little prettier here. Yep, and that's the plan for the semester. So the 15 weeks goes by really quick. It's kind of surprising how fast that goes by. We are about a chapter a week until we hit Java FX, and then we can slow down and do a deep dive into that. So that's the plan. So here's that lecture archive section. I'll post things as we go. Once we get close to the midterm, I'll put the practice midterm, or last semester's midterm out here. Here's the textbook slides. So if you like slides, the Cliff Note versions, go ahead and take a peek. Now we don't hit all these chapters, but I just gave you all the chapters just to have them. Right? Why bother not giving you some? And we go from there. So I've been talking nonstop for a little while. I need to go get some fluids. Oops, sorry, and run into things over here. So why don't we take a couple-minute break? And we'll come back, say, in 10 minutes or so, and we'll look at doing some of these tools, if that sounds all right for you. And we can go from there. Any other thoughts or questions before we take a break? No? Cool. Let me pop some music back up. We can go from there. This Shaping the Silence music, this guy streams his music creation process, which is really cool. Twitch is such a fun place. And he gives it away with the DMCA-free stuff. So let's see if I can... We'll start on like the next track. Hey everybody. All right. Oh, sorry, I ran out to the car to get my coffee. My glasses are still a little dark here. Third coffee? Is that Juan Yu? I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. I'll get it figured out one of these days. Turn this down. Oh, I left the music quiet. Hopefully you can still hear it there. Forgot to bump that back up. Let's see. There we go. Oh, okay. Oh, it's fine. You can, whatever you want. I can. Is that CS for Counter-Strike then, or CS for computer science? Yeah, the transitions are great, except the winter is a little slow. So I'm the only one in the room, so I just locked the door. And I took off the mask so I can drink my coffee. Hope you folks don't mind. Yeah, I'll be in my home office starting Wednesday, so CS for computer science. Okay, very cool. Very cool. All right, so I wanted to show you some of these tools real quick. So when you go to GitHub, and we can even look at mine, that's fine. You'll just create an account. You do probably want to use one that has your email address, that's actually current. You can go through and you can look at different people's profiles. That's why it's public. So whatever your username is, you get a website here, like this, which is really fun. So if we were to take a look, let me make a new repository actually. So I'm going to do a new repository for this semester, and I'll post that link. So all the code that I do will go out into the GitHub repository for you folks to take a look at if you want. So let's look at our Java. Do I want a template? I don't think I need a template. That's fine. So we'll call this CIS 1500. Say it's winter 2022, and I'm going to try and be specific here. This is the Monday, Wednesday class, because I also have a Tuesday class. So I'll try and put everything in ours here. Now, I'm going to give you a link. There's a cool tool GitHub has that is a classroom tool made for this sort of thing. Oh my goodness, too much coffee. It will automatically make private repositories for you, and that's the goal, because you want it to be private so that you have access and I have access and no one else does. I'm going to make this one public so that just anyone on the internet can see it, because that's where I get to put my code examples and it makes life easier here. Okay. And then I want a README file. I want a git ignore file. A git ignore tells the git source control tool not to add things that it doesn't need. The idea with that is there are all sorts of files that you can generate when you compile and run your code that if you have the code, you don't need. And I think I usually use the MIT license because that one's nice and easy. So I'll make a repository. You won't have to go through any of these steps, so don't worry too much about it here. But I want to show you kind of what happens once you do have a repository. So from here, this is the main repository page. So you'll get one of these for every assignment. I think I'll probably just do one for all your labs. I'm not so sure yet. I'll figure it out what I want to do. So one for each project, one for the final project. We'll probably just do one for labs, and that'll make life easy. You can view all of the code that you have here on GitHub, right? And you can just view them by text, which is really nice. So if we were to look at last semester's here, let's just go take a peek at last semester. So fall 2021 here. Any of these folders here are essentially the projects that we went through. So the very first one, oh my goodness. It says, so it's mostly organized. Why can't I find what I'm looking for? Projects. No, maybe it was just chapter 2. Maybe we went right into chapter 2. So I just click on chapter 2 and I can navigate in. So this would be on my computer a folder, and it's just viewing like a folder here. There's this SRC, which is the source folder where all the source code goes. NB project is NetBeans project. We don't touch anything in there generally. So I go to my source. I can see, hey, here's a .java file. So all of our Java code goes in .java files. So I can open this up and I can see a nice little view of the code here. Sorry, it's a little small. Let me zoom that in a little bit for you folks at home. And this is what I do to look at your code. So you'll turn in a URL similar to this, and I'll walk you through all that when we get to our lab on Wednesday. Don't worry about it. And I can just go to the website and look at your code. I don't have to download attachments. You don't have to attach anything. Life is really good. And then what's really cool is if you're having problems with your code somewhere, you can go say, oh, hey, Eric, I'm having trouble here. And then all of these line numbers over here are actually clickable. So like if I was having a problem at line 24, I click on it and my URL now says #24. that's saying, okay, specifically here at line 24, and you can send me this link, and it will take me right to the line of code you're having trouble with. It's a fantastic tool. Again, this is very widely used in the industry. I think it's the most popular one. They do have some other competitors, just because not everyone likes working with Microsoft, but sure. And we'll get through how to use all this stuff. So the way that we're going to use it, this is the GitHub website. You can use any email you want, Michael, but just don't use like a burner address you're never going to look at again, because you may or may not get some emails as I go through and give feedback. Excuse me. There's a cool thing I can do if there's specific feedback I want to give on your code. It'll automatically send you an email with a link to it, which is nice. So it's like this tool is made for code collaboration in organizations that write code for a living, software shops. So we'll use that as well. Yeah, any email address is fine, and any username is fine, because again, it is public, right? So I'm the only Eric Chinesky in the world, so this is pretty easy that I just put Eric Chinesky everywhere, which is fine. So, excuse me. So this is the GitHub, this is their cloud side of things, right? So for us to get all of our code from our computer out to the cloud, we need their desktop tool. So that's the desktop.github.com tool, or you can just type in the browser here. I was going to go to the link for whatever reason. So it's desktop.github.com, and you're going to download the GitHub desktop client. I already have it downloaded because I still do have it. And again, if you're using the virtual desktops, you'll need to do this every time, unfortunately. It installs for your local user, so there's not like one install for everyone on the computer, so it's not really the kind of thing that's easy to put on ahead of time, because you want it to install locally for you and do all your own setup and stuff, but it goes pretty quick. Then you can launch out the GitHub tool, so the GitHub desktop app right here, we can launch out, and we can go and navigate around from there. So I'm going to go back to our winter 2022 Monday, Wednesday. So here's the link. I'll add that to D2L here, and all the code we do in class will go out into that public GitHub repository. Come on, we're getting there. I'll give you a link for the GitHub repository. I'll put that out here in D2L. Right now I just knew what the URL was, so I'll put that in our course information. I'll make a link. This is the course GitHub repository. Okay, so I'll be out there for you. Again, there's nothing in there right now, but as we go through, we'll make things that go in that repository. Now, there's two ways to get yourself in sync with the GitHub repository in the cloud. So the idea with the source control tool is that the cloud has a record of everything, and your computer has a record of everything. Git is considered a distributed source control tool made by our friend Linus Torvald, or it started by him at least. I don't think he's the sole maintainer or anything, but who's also the founder of Linux. So there are other source control tools. Git is not the only one, but it's a fantastic one because Linus is literally a genius. So he has some flaws, but literally a genius. So this is the GitHub desktop tool. So there are ways to get to the repository and get it in sync. My favorite way here is once I'm on my repository page here. And again, I'll show you on Wednesday. I'll walk you through Lab 0 or Lab 1, the very first lab we're going to do. And you'll just have to follow along. That one will be real quick and easy. But you go to the repository page. Once you have the GitHub desktop client installed, if you click this big green button, you get a Open with GitHub Desktop link. And if you click that, the browser will ask you, hey, is it okay to launch GitHub Desktop? I've already said yes, it's fine. And it'll bring you up to this clone window here. So say, hey, you want to take this website here, the github.com/ericchinesky/CIS1500 winter 2022-Monday Wednesday, and you want to clone it locally here on my computer in C, users, Eric C, documents, GitHub, CIS1500. So all it does is make a folder on my computer. You can put it anywhere you want. I like default. So the default is your users, documents, GitHub, and then a folder named whatever the repository name is. I'm a big fan of defaults because it makes life easy. If you want to change it, go for it. I don't care. You just need to know where this is. So clicking that green code button, ask you if you want to launch GitHub Desktop. We say yes. Go ahead and clone. And now I have a copy of everything that was out here, which is actually just these three things. It's kind of boring, on my computer. So now what we're going to have to do, the Git tool is going to track changes that I've changed locally that haven't been changed publicly. Oh, I got to go back to winter 2022. I got a lot of repositories, sorry. Okay. So now I've got my repository. So if you have one repository for each project, you have one for the final project, you have one for lab, you might have a couple different ones. You can go between different ones. It's all fine. Right now it says there's no changes. Nothing's changed. So no big deal. So we're in sync. And then this repository menu has two shortcuts that are fantastic. The first one is view on GitHub. This will launch out the website on github.com. I already have it open. The next one is show an explorer. Show an explorer will open up your file explorer window right to this folder. And now I can see, okay, I've got a git ignore file, I have a license file, and I have a readme file. There's also this .git file. So if you're viewing hidden files and folders, which you may or may not have, so SB, I will give you a link through the GitHub Classroom tool on Wednesday. And that link will automatically generate all the repositories for you, so that way you don't have to do any of this stuff by hand. It'll make life a little easier. So this repository here just has those three files. This .git folder, don't touch. This is where all the Git magic happens. But what I can do, I can just right-click and say, hey, I want a new file. I'm going to put a new text document in here. We'll call this, I don't know, hello. Yep, Max will work just as well, Angel. So I'm going to call this file hello.txt. Right? You generally want to have your file name extensions viewable. That'll make life easier for you here. Anytime you're doing programming, that's a pretty common setting here if you're in Windows land. So hello.txt is empty right now, and I can put something in here. So I'll say, hi there, welcome to CIS 1500, happy Monday. And I'm going to save it, right? So file save or Control S for save, and I can close it out. So now there's a new file in my copy of this repository. Now if I come back to the GitHub desktop tool, it thinks for a second and it says, oh, hey, over in this list here on the left, it says, hey, there's one changed file. There's now one difference between what's currently in the repository and what it remembered was in there. So Git, what it does is it tracks files line by line by line and says, hey, there's two new lines in here. There's line 1 and line 2. It says, hi there, welcome to CIS 1500, happy Monday. So the idea with the Git source control tool is we do these things called commits. Now a commit is a snapshot of that folder at a given point in time. And once you have a commit, it's really hard to lose something, which is nice. So it's made to be a good tool for that. So a commit will say, hey, I want everything that's in the folder at this point in time, make a snapshot, commit it. So to make a commit, you have this big blue commit button. The only thing you need is this first box here, the small box here. This is the commit summary. So we'll say this is hello.txt. So generally, the organizations will have conventions around what sort of things you should put in your commit summaries. I don't care, but generally you just want it to be something meaningful. Don't put, garbage in here. Because if it's something useful, I'll show you, excuse me, you can go see it later. So I'm going to say hello.txt. I'm going to click my commit button. And now the changes are going to go away because in this commit, nothing has changed. So this new snapshot with that file there, nothing's changed. But now it's telling me, hey, I have one local commit waiting to be pushed to GitHub. So my local repository is not in sync now with the repository in the cloud. So I need to take my changes and I need to push them out to the cloud. The other way that can happen is if there's a change in the cloud that you don't have, you will pull the changes down. Now for all of our projects when we're working individually, there probably shouldn't ever be changes from GitHub that you have to pull, but when you work collaboratively with the team, it's a push and pull process when you're working with a team as people are changing things. We can get more into that later. But for now, we make our changes and we push them out to the cloud. So I click on push, and this will send it out to the cloud. Once github.com has your code, they will essentially never lose it, right? They make their money hosting this service and for paying customers, right? They give it away for schools for free. They give it away for open source projects, and they give it away for small individual projects, that sort of thing. But organizations pay them for their services. So once you've got it out there, they're probably not going to lose it. Now, if you want to go see if it's out in the cloud, we're going to go to this repository view on GitHub link. It'll open up our browser, take us back to our repository. Now, there is a chance Oh, this one's public, never mind. If you have a private repository, if you're not logged in, it'll tell you, hey, it can't find this thing here. So if I like add another letter here, it's going to give me this page not found link. If you get a page not found link, make sure you're logged in. Check this top right here and make sure that you're actually signed in. Okay? That'll make sure you're signed in. But now back on the web page for my repository, I can see, hey, now there's a hello.txt file. I can actually click that file name, it's a link here, and I can see the contents of it. And I can take this and I can send it around. That sort of thing. That does all the magic for us. Okay, so that's our GitHub repository. So I'm going to put all of our code out there. We'll get more into that Wednesday. The other tools you're going to need are the Java Development Kit. And this is the JDK. We're on version 17. You just go download the zip file. So I'm going to click the zip file. It's going to go download it for me. It'll take a second. And then the NetBeans, I already have installed. You can go install NetBeans. So you want to do the Java Development Kit first, and then you want to do NetBeans. Where's my list? Right here. So go get your Java Development Kit. Once that's done downloading, so you can really put it anywhere. Our virtual desktops have a folder on the C drive called OpenDev. So that's where I put things here just to make it match. So my C drive, if you don't have one, you can make a folder called OpenDev. And this is where we're going to put all the stuff. So I actually have the older versions out here right now. 17. Okay, so I've got 17.0.1 already. So in my downloads, here, once this is done downloading, I'm going to open this up. To unzip a file here in Windows land, you just right-click on it. And you say extract all. So right-click the file, so go to extract all. You don't want to extract it to your downloads. I mean, you can. It doesn't technically matter much, but generally I would go to Browse and go find that OpenDev folder. And I say, okay, I want to go put it in C, OpenDev, put it out here, let it extract, and it'll give me my nice folder here. So that installs the Java Development Kit that we need to write and compile Java programs with NetBeans. It's pretty quick. If you have any trouble, let me know. We can hop on a little screen sharing session and get you up and running. There is one common issue that you might run into where it says it can't find the Java install. So I have to get, there's a way you can run the installer and tell it where Java is. It's a small pain, but I've got a video out here I'll link that will help you with that. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Search just my videos. Oh, goodness. Is it, NetBeans, JDK, not that one. That sounds right. See if it'll find it for me. I want my video for it. There's tons of videos for it. That's nice. Where's mine? All right, I'm bad at search. I don't think I made it as a playlist. Shoot. It's in here. I don't know, I'll find it after for you and post a link in the class or the Discord. Probably in the Discord. I know it's in here. Oh, right here. Installing Apache NetBeans when I can't find the JDK. There we go. Yeah, this will probably give me a copyright strike on my own stuff, right? That'll be funny. Like, you can't share this video that's out on YouTube, but it's my own video. So yeah, so I'll post that in the Discord for the class. Any trouble installing NetBeans, error, not finding the JDK, check this out. And you can also, again, shoot me a message. We can do a screen sharing session and figure it out from there. So just let me know. And that's all the tools for now. We can get into the OpenJFX and Scene Builder later, or you can use the virtual desktop again. So you'll need to do the GitHub install on the virtual desktop every time. It's a little bit unfortunate, but it's got the NetBeans and OpenJDK, and life is just good there. And we get up and running and writing our own Java programs. So that's the tools. We'll actually go, so you download the zip file here. So this Windows zip or Mac tarball, you download those and extract them, and then you get this folder that extracts. So this is like the JDK 17.0.1, and it has everything inside of it that you need for developing Java. And we'll get into more of that on Wednesday as well. So you just need to extract the zip file. So you download the zip file and then you extract all of it so it's no longer in a zip file and it's easy to get to. I put NetBeans in this folder as well when I install it, just to keep life easy. I just like everything being together, and that, again, matches the virtual desktops. Yep. And if you're running into any trouble, let me know. So Wednesday, we'll look at our very first lab, writing our very first Java program. We'll look at chapter 1, which is a pretty quick chapter, and then we'll talk about the lab. I'll do the lab, and then you just need to follow along at your leisure sometime throughout the week. Is the goal for that one, just to make sure your tools are up and running. So if you have any issues, we'll get you up and running. So by the end of the first week, you'll be able to start writing Java programs is the goal. So. Bran. Well, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for following along here on Twitch. Always fun to have people online. Yeah, don't forget, you can always check out the YouTube videos as well. So exclamation YouTube for the link there. I've got a bot that gives you a couple commands. All right, I think that's all I've got for today. So if there are no other questions, I'll shut down for the day. I'll see you folks back Wednesday from my home office, be on about 10, and we'll go from there. Looking forward to a fun semester. I know it's still a little awkward here with this remote stuff, but we'll make do the best we can. Let me know about Discord if you want to hop on that lecture voice chat or anything. I'm open to whatever's going to make this work best for you, as we try and not get more people sick. That's sort of the goal. So I've got 2 kids who are particularly high risk as well, so I'm trying real hard to make sure they don't get sick. So wish me luck. It's been a rough pandemic, so hopefully you folks are surviving it okay. Just let me know what I can do to help. Please feel free to reach out. Oh, the syllabus quiz. That was the other thing. One last thing. I'm sorry. So the syllabus quiz, 10 questions. You can actually take it as many times as you want until you get a perfect score on it here. Yeah, do a preview. So essentially, if you've read the syllabus or you listen to me read it to you, you'll be fine on this. But I just wanted to show you real quick. And this is a good practice D2L quiz as well. So this is due by the start of, the end of next week, I think. So different ways you can contact me. You have my info. You can come to campus and use the computers. We have computer labs for you. You can install them. You can use a virtual desktop from home. Those are all options for you. You can participate live. You can watch them asynchronously. Those sort of options here. If you're not sure, asking a friend is great. Ask somebody else what they thought about. Ask a tutor. Go to the group tutoring sessions. Book an individual session. Ask me privately or the class Discord channel. If you're not sure, reach out. Let me know. If you're not sure about something for an assignment, I ran into this a lot last semester where people were like, "Oh, I waited too late to start, and then I wasn't sure what to do, and then they didn't turn anything in, or I turned in a half-completed assignment." Like, for all of our projects, we have at least 2 weeks. Well, we have 2 weeks. I shouldn't say at least. We have 2 weeks for every project. We have a week for every lab. If you're not sure, ask early, okay? So don't wait until the day it's due and ask for help. This is the wrong answer, please, right? Attending your supplemental instructor study group sessions, works after the due date, my virtual office hours, I'll usually be around, that sort of thing. This one is really good, so I want to talk about this. So in general, when it comes to college level courses, for every credit hour is essentially an hour spent in person in class. Again, we're remote, it's a little bit funky here, and if you want to do it asynchronously, great. But as a 4-credit class, that means we have 8 hours worth of work outside of those 4 hours that need to be done. Whether or not that's reading the book, working on labs, working on projects, doing general studying, those sort of things. So a 4-hour class is really a 12-hour-a-week commitment between the 4 hours in class time and the 8 hours outside of class time. And that's just an average. Some people take more, some people take less, but please plan for those 12 hours. Tell me what days and time you're going to be working on the course. So if you're watching lectures synchronously, it's Monday 10 to 12, Wednesday 10 to 12. Great. That's 4 hours. Where are those other 8 hours coming from in your schedule? And you'll be more successful if you set them aside, block out that time, and say, okay, this is when I'm going to be doing my stuff for the course, rather than, oh, I'll get it done when I get to it. You'll be much more successful if you plan ahead proactively. And then the last one is you understand the policy on academic dishonesty. Right? This is, again, my little CYA. So you put your name in here, you've said you've understood it, and you know what the policy is on plagiarism and cheating. Right? And we can go from there. So this is part of the paperwork I have to turn into the dean when I fail people. So I have your name here saying that you understand the policy. So if you don't, please ask, right? That's perfectly fine. If you're unclear on something, ask me. I'm happy to clarify it, okay? All right, folks, that's all I got then. You have a wonderful day. Let's see, we're on Twitch. I wonder if there's anyone to raid real quick. Let me put on my ending screen here. And just for fun, we can see if we can shoot all raid off to anybody here. There's a really cool group called the Knowledge Fellowship. Are none of them streaming, really? None of them are streaming right now. That's awesome. But it's a group of online people who just like to share the things that they know. And it's pretty fun. So I got in touch with them, I think early on in the pandemic, maybe even before the pandemic. I had an associate or a colleague I got in touch with who teaches chemistry out of Florida. But all right, anyway, no one's around to raid right now, so we'll skip that. We'll just end the stream, and you take care. I'll see you on Wednesday. Please let me know if there's anything I can do in the meantime. Take care.